Okay, so I know it's impossible to get a complete general consensus on this, but I want to know your thoughts anyway. What is the biggest factor you look for in buying a guitar, and what is your biggest red flag? You see, when it comes to Mexican Strats, and particularly American Strats, wait, pause. This is a video about American Strats, and if we're going to be finding out the ins and outs of the American Strats and what we think about them, I'm going to need an American Strat. Let's do this. Look at this bad boy. Oh my gosh. This is like a moment. There's this weird range of emotions that comes whenever you pick up a guitar for the first time. And I think it's more than just the playability or how the frets feel. I think especially with a guitar of this caliber, without getting overly corny or sounding like I'm trying to script this out too much, there was something to this guitar that felt almost symbolic, if I could say that. It was like for the first time in a while, I knew exactly what sounds I wanted to try and get out of this instrument, and the specific details on how I was going to attempt to do that. Yes, this is real. When it comes to what I specifically look for in a guitar, I think you have to go back to the first time I bought an American Strat, and it was about looks and it was about sound. Now the look was there. I mean, I've talked about my Blue Highway one before. The first time I saw it online, I was like, oh my gosh, that's one of the best looking things I've ever seen. I'm ready to go in on it with whatever little money I did or didn't have. I was ready to tell all of my friends just how much better it sounded than my Mexican Strat without even really knowing what to look for or what made a guitar sound good. Let's do this again. Let's publicly embarrass myself. I literally thought these licks were like fire at the time. Young Bull was listening to some Clapton. It's getting cringe. If I were to be honest with myself, I didn't even know what sounding better meant at the time. Fast forward 7 years later, I make a little video about the misconceptions about Mexican Strats and how I had gotten some pretty sick tones out of that Strat that I had had for about 6 months, tones that I never thought I would get if you had told me 7 years ago. I was like, let's do the same thing with an American. So the first thing I really wanted to check out with this guitar to see if it lived up to the hype was the clean tone. Just being the Corey Wong fan that I am, I do have a tendency to really crank the compressor. For me personally, I don't have to do a lot of post-processing in the mix because it's already compressed and the reverb's already going through my pedal board, but I tried to lay off a little in this video just to try and get the actual sound of the guitar. But once I had found what it sounded like with the tube screamer, I wanted to go a little bit deeper. I wanted to go to the distortion. Did somebody say distortion. And specifically with this guitar, I knew I had to get a humbucker in there. I wanted to see what it sounded like with both the humbucker and the single coil, since it does have both of those capabilities. I do like knowing that I have a bridge pickup there that's a little bit less noisy and a little bit more beefy, especially with the place that I live in being a little bit more of a noisy room for some feedback. But it is interesting the tonal variations you can get out of a Strat, really thinking about it now. And by the way, I got this guitar in this video is sponsored by Sweetwater. I'm really thankful to be playing this. And if you want to know anything more about how any of the tones were gotten, all the links to this guitar and all the pedals that I just mentioned are in the description. Definitely check it out. I noticed that it came set up super well. So what's the point of all this? I talked about with the Mexican Strats, where I think that the threshold of what makes a really good guitar, at least nowadays, is really changing, where you can get a really great guitar that's like a Mexican Strat for like 800 bucks. And I'm kind of starting to feel the same way in some of their higher end guitars. Like, we have to be honest about the fact that in that price range, you're not just looking for another guitar to add to the arsenal. You're looking for probably a gigging guitar, a studio guitar, a live guitar, or a sentimental guitar, even in that. And having this bad boy is really a dream come true. I mean, it's the covered in rain colorway that I've wanted with a humbucker. I do think, like I said, between the feel and the playability of a guitar like this and just American guitars in general, I like seeing and trying to guess like what the Fender factory in California can do in this price range, not just compared to like a Mexican Strat, because they're obviously different, but compared to like the American Ultra and the American Vintage 2 series that just dropped. But I want to know what you think. Have you picked up an American Pro 2 Strat or just an American Strat in general? And if so, what do you think of the current line of American Strats coming out of Fender? Thank you for watching. Like I said, this video was so much fun to make. Seeing the tones that I could get out of this thing just mic'd up right next to my bedroom, I mean, it's weird to think about how cool that is. I wanted for a while the Strat with the tricolor sunburst with like that same finish that John Mayer and Tom Misch have, just with a humbucker in it. So this is like unbelievable. If you had a good time, make sure to drop a like and also make sure to subscribe. And most important of all, have a fantastic day.